The regular board meeting of April 11th, 2022 will come to order. Take a roll call.
Thank you. Ms. Cotter is here. Mrs. Grimakowski?
Here.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Here.
Mrs. Forrest?
Here.
Mrs. Dodd?
Here.
Mrs. Pastana?
Here.
And Mr. Carlson?
Here.
All present.
All right. Please rise if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to get a motion for approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Pastana. Is there a second?
Second. Or
Second by Ms. Forrest. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Agenda is approved. Board President comments. I just wanted to make a couple of quick comments this evening. I wanted to thank the parents and the staff and the administrators who have been participating in our task force. We have 2 more sessions to go. I think we've had, oh boy, it's been about 6 sessions, I think, all together. So we've been doing some work in social emotional learning, also with learning delay. We just wrapped up that topic. And the last topic that we have on the agenda is preparing our students for the new economy, which we will have a task force meeting this Wednesday evening, and then in another 2 weeks, and then we'll be wrapping up that report. So I wanted to thank the community members who have participated in that. And if they haven't participated, for whatever reason, life gets busy, I would encourage them to come out for these next two sessions. I also wanted to indicate the week of the 18th and the week of the 25th, I'll be coordinating with school board members. We will be having some community forums as we had last August and last October. And so we will have a couple of community forums. So look for the notice and maybe the Friday forum for the announcement of those coming up as well. So week of the 18th, April 18th, and the week of the 25th. So we'll be looking at some dates. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent in regards to recognitions.
Thank you, President Carlson, and I will invite Ms. Root to the podium.
Good evening, and thank you, members of the Board of Education, members of the community. We have several important recognitions tonight. We have first, we're going to kick it off with a representative that we have in the audience from the American Heart Association. If you could join me up here. She'd like to share a few words, and then Dr. Salah will accept on our behalf.
Good evening, Huron Valley Board and community. My name is Nicole Kalia, and I'm here on behalf of the American Heart Association. I've had the pleasure of working with your district for the last 7 years through Kids Heart Challenge, formerly Jump Rope for Heart. And I'm here tonight to say thank you and make you aware of a milestone giving achievement for your district. The Kids Heart Challenge program supports the American Heart Association and helps students learn about taking care of their hearts and helping others through philanthropy and giving. These kids are a part of something bigger than themselves, and the giving spirit in your community really shines through. This was your district's 15th year partnering with the American Heart Association cohesively as a district all together. And let me tell you, that shows a complete dedication from your amazing PE staff and your community. Going into this year, your district had raised $913,634 over the course of those 14 prior years. That left $86,000 and some change to raise this year, and the PE teachers decided to set an aggressive goal of trying to hit that $1 million of lifetime giving. And let me tell you, they did it. They sent out all my emails, and a round of applause. It's pretty incredible when we were able to make the announcement. If any of you were at the event, and the kids and the community and the parents, they were just so excited. So this year, your district raised $89,305.94. So that gives you a total lifetime giving of $1,002,939.94. So I do want to at least highlight those individuals who put all of their time and effort in over these years, and especially this year. So at Country Oaks, Ryan Arnold, Heritage, Jason Pbis, Highland, Carrie Sanderson, Johnson, Chris Brown, Kurtz, Bob Bruger, Lakewood, Lori Christopher, Oxbow, Laura Page, and Spring Mills, Dave Petoskey. I smile when I say their names because they've become my friends over the years, so it's really amazing to work with all of them. So thank you to all of the staff, principal, leaders, everyone who sent out my emails. Thank you. And friends, family, and parents in the community, you really are the ones that made this happen. So we're truly grateful for this incredible partnership over the years and this achievement. So we are presenting your district with this, celebrating 15 years and $1 million in lifetime giving for the American Heart Association. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Jenna, going forward. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
So I just wanted to say thank you to the American Heart Association for the partnership with our local school district. Raising $1 million over 15 years is an incredible accomplishment. And I just also want to give a special shout out to our PE teachers because I know the time and the passion and the energy that they put into the event. So thank you to you and thank you to all of our physical education teachers. Thank you.
Our next recognition this evening, I'm going to ask my colleague, Dr. Bridget Knutson, to join me at the podium.
Thank you, Ms. Root. So I am here this evening on behalf of Lakeland High School to honor one of our Huron Valley heroes. So I'm proud to be here with our Board of Education and also our district officials and our community, both here and at home, to honor Band Director Bob Green as one of our Huron Valley heroes. Bob began his Huron Valley journey in 1995 and has impacted thousands of band students over the course of his 27 years working for our school district and in our community. Students are at the center of everything that Mr. Green does. Everything. For Bob, it's not about being competitive. It's never been about, that whole crosstown rivalry that, we hear about sometimes with our crosstown friends at Milford. In fact, it's just always been about one thing with Mr. Green, and that is the music. His students will tell you that he imparts a love of music, but also the knowledge that comes with all of that for all of our high schools in Huron Valley. Bob's passion isn't only teaching band classes like wind ensemble, concert band, jazz band, but he's also doing that now at all three of our high schools, International Academy West, Lakeland High School, and Milford High School. He teaches band classes throughout the day. He teaches a jazz band program after school hours. In addition to that, Mr. Green he's our director of marching bands. We now, as of this year, have a Huron Valley marching band, and that came from an idea, Bob has been advocating for years. We've seen some, dwindling numbers in marching band students and things like that. And he's always a problem solver, and he always wants to elevate the level of instruction and opportunity for all of those kids. And he didn't see a drop in enrollment as a problem. He saw it as an opportunity to do what we've all been talking about for quite a long time, and that is, we are one Huron Valley. We're one district, we're one community, and he said, in the spirit of that, can we go for the one Huron Valley Marching Band? And I know that, the TLT committee and, Mr. Green has worked with the board going into this year to, pilot that program. And oh my gosh, it has just been phenomenal. In addition to, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that too, but now I know I have time, but not a lot of time. But so he's now director of bands at Iowa West, Lakeland High School, Milford High School, director of the Huron Valley Marching Band. But also director of, we have a Huron Valley Percussion group. We have a Huron Valley Alliance, which is our Winter Guard group. And I'm just going to read a little bit of what Bob himself sent a couple of days ago, because his successes have been phenomenal in the past. But this year he has just superseded any kinds of expectations. I mean, we all know he's going to run a great program, but oh my goodness. So at the beginning of last week, we got notification that of our state and solo ensemble results. These are competitions with our high school band students, and they go to a location and they're competing against other band students. Pretty much they're trying to do the best they can with their musical abilities. And with our kids here in Huron Valley, 13 medals were awarded to International Academy West students. 14 medals were awarded to Lakeland High School students. 13 medals were awarded to Milford High School students. And out of those 41 possible individual medals, we were awarded 40 medals, with 15 of those being an excellent rating and 25 being superior ratings. This past Thursday and Friday, Bob traveled with our Huron Valley Winter Guard, our Huron Valley Alliance, to Dayton, Ohio, where they competed in a national event for the first time in several years. And in the past, Bob shared with me, he was a little on edge. He's like, last time we were there, we didn't do as well as we expected. And this past Thursday and Friday, he was on the phone with me Thursday evening, and we're doing really well. It's going great. And that team earned them. They earned a spot in the semifinals. And with a score that was over 20 points more than what they received the last time they were there. I mean, just absolutely incredible. And then let's go back to just this past weekend. So that was last Thursday and Friday. This weekend, he's here with the Huron Valley Percussion group, and they got the bronze medal. They came in third place for their state competition. So our Huron Valley Percussion is also third in the state. I am just so proud of everything that Bob Green does for our kids here, and am proud to have him come up here and accept our Huron Valley Hero Award.
Congratulations, Bob. I'm sitting there listening to Bridget, and last time I checked, a day consists of 24 hours. When do you sleep?
I don't know.
But I think Bob is an example of how proud we are of all of our staff. The dedication that Bob has displayed as it relates to providing opportunities for all of our students in the arts is absolutely incredible. On behalf of the rest of the board and administration, I'd like to say thank you for everything that you do every day and the impact that you have on each and every one of your students that you come in contact with. It's immeasurable, it's priceless, and I know from the relationships that you've built over the years, you've built something just absolutely special for Huron Valley Schools. And at the same time, I selfishly take a lot of pleasure because I live just a hop, skip, and a jump from Lakeland High School, so I get an opportunity to listen to the marching band quite frequently. My wife always says, they practice more than all the athletic teams. And I said, yeah, I based on what I hear every day, absolutely, and I certainly enjoy it. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to present to you the Certificate of Achievement. It's bestowed this day in your honor, Bob, as a Huron Valley Hero for outstanding dedication and a commitment to excellence in education in the arts. And you really drive home the fact that we take great pride in being a school district that's referred to as a AAA school district, where we focus on the academics, the athletics, and the arts. Thank you very much.
That would be great. Let's do it in this area then. Yeah, let's have Bobby and Rick time for that. So, Tom. Tiny bit. Okay, one smile. Say, ultimate band director. Thanks so much.
We're now going to turn to our Huron Valley highlights on the program. And this evening, I get another treat to listen to my colleague Nick Peruski talk about all the great work happening in Huron Valley and all the great work happening with the Huron Valley Education Foundation. So Nick, come on up.
Well, thank you, Kim. I'm honored to be here tonight to acknowledge some of our phenomenal educators on behalf of the Huron Valley Educational Foundation. So I'd like to thank the Board of Education, our central office administrative team, and community members for being here tonight. The HVEF, it raises funds and then redistributes them back to our classrooms, so providing innovative learning opportunities for our students. The HVEF was founded in 1996. Next slide, Jerry. Click. And to date, we have funded just over 450 grants, totaling, right now, I think we're actually at $525,000. So we're wrapping up our 25th year of serving the community, which is awesome. We are made up of volunteer members. So Jill Brower and Trisha Campbell are both administrators within the district. Denise Forrest, board member, and Denise Pastana actually is a co-chair along with myself. Mark Gatesman, Matt Jenkins, Sharon Keenan, and Sherry Miles are community members that are on our board. Jennifer Hollander is the HVEA president. Natalie Moore is a teacher within our district. And then Dr. Salah and Jeffrey Van Gotham serve on our board as well. This year, we funded 21 grants, totaling about $20,000. And they're coming from elementary, middle, high school, and our Apollo Center. So teachers, I'd like to invite you up if you are here. We were lucky enough to have many of our grant recipients join us this evening. And I will start with our early childhood grants. So first up is Amy Ebright from Apollo with a comprehensive literacy instruction for preschoolers with significant delays. And I'll have everyone kind of stand up and we'll do kind of like a group. So all the educators that are here, if we want to maybe line up here as we go. And then Jennifer Kane, also from Apollo, Fun with Phonic Awareness. So both of those grants supporting literacy for our little kids. Next up, elementary school grants. We have Susan Black from Heritage, One School, One Book. Kathy Stando, also from Heritage, Coding with Bots. Alora Nigro from Johnson, Project Care. Rachel Thornton from Lakewood Elementary, Everyone Reads. Stephanie Riddle from Lakewood, Sensory Integration for ASD. Jessica Palmer-Lee from Lakewood, Variety and Choice Leads to Success. And Kim Zalay, also from Lakewood, SOAR. Sylvia LaPratte from Spring Mills, Drumroll Please. And then our Huron Valley Council for the Arts had a grant for Arts for Life. So a lot of the grants were focused on literacy, social emotional learning, mental health supports for students, the arts, and coding at the elementary level. At the middle school level, We have Vaughn Smith from your Environmental Environment. Michelle Doggett from your Clothes Make a Statement, Costumes Tell a Story. Julie Puffer representing both Muir Middle School and the HVVA 21st Century Digital Learning in the I'm off a line. Separating fact from fiction through historical fiction research. Julie's like, wait a minute, art, not me. Colleen Turner from Oak Valley Middle School, 21st Century Digital Learning in the Art Room. There we go. Sorry, changing your shirt on you. And then again, the HVCA Art for Life, making sure that we're providing the arts at both the elementary and the middle school levels. And then lastly, on to our high school grants. We had Karen Gerard at Harbor High School, Career Central. Maureen Convery from the IA, Creating Windows and Mirrors in Classroom Library. Carrie Pishik from Milford High School, Free Voluntary Reading in Advanced Spanish. Jennifer Grubb actually was awarded 2 grants, one for Camping 2022 and one for Connecting Across Generations. And then lastly, Lori Gleason, also from Milford High School, Cell Phone Sensors for Science. So at the high school level, grants were focused on career readiness, on supporting our adult transition program, and STEM. So using cell phone sensors to collect data so kids can see how their cell phones work in the real world. So pretty cool. So let's give our outstanding educators a round of applause. And I would like to encourage any educators next year to apply for grants. It's never too early to start thinking about what you might want to do in your classrooms next year. And I'd also like to encourage anyone that would like to donate, check out our website, hvef.net. Thank you. Another picture, okay.
All right, Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I just previously have been working with our foundation for a number of years, and I just want to say 2 things. Number one, I want to thank the teachers that came here tonight. I really appreciate that they took the time to be here. Likewise, I'd like to thank those people on the committee who donate much of their time and keep our foundation going. We don't give away millions of dollars, and sometimes it seems so small, but it's making such a difference with the kids. So to those staff that recognize that and accept those awards, I want to say thank you. That's my piece.
Very nicely said, Ms. Cotter. Anyone else? Thank you very much. Thank you. Paul, anything else? All right, we will now move to items from the superintendent.
Thank you, President Carlson. Good evening to all of you that are here in the audience today, also to those that are watching via live stream. Thank you for joining us. I have a few items under items for the superintendent this evening. First and foremost, I just want to give a shout out and a note of congratulations to our Milford High School boys basketball team. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but quite an accomplishment. Division I academic all-state, which means that our Milford High School boys had the highest grade point average in the entire state of Michigan at a 3.8712, which is just absolutely remarkable. We had an opportunity this evening to hear from Dr. Knutson, who really lifted up some of the great work that's happening in the arts. And actually, during my superintendent remarks last meeting, I spent quite a bit of time talking about the arts, but it's really quite awesome when we can spend a moment and talk about not only the athletics, but the fact that our Milford High School boys had such a high performance from an academic perspective, which is a really important reason for us to be here. So congratulations to Mr. Gilbert and the entire team. I wanted to also take a moment and touch on the item that you see up there on the screen, Parent Resource Night. Mr. Carlson mentioned in his opening remarks just a thank you to our parents and our staff that have participated this year in several meetings, really thinking through social emotional learning as we came out of the pandemic, thinking about that knowledge gap and how we identify programs that we can enhance learning with. And as we move into the next step, which is, preparing students for a new economy, I think it's important to lift that this particular event that you see here will be released to our entire community today. You'll receive a flyer, and this came as the original conception of thought from, in particular, our parents in the community that are part of that task force. Some of the feedback we heard was, how can we help parents prepare for and help their children with overcoming some of the challenges that we have all experienced as a result of the pandemic. So I wanted to share this event, April 21st, from 6 to 8:15. We will have a keynote speaker, Dr. Tiana Rooney, and she will be speaking to social emotional health of youth. And so, in addition to that, we'll have 6 breakout sessions on a wide array of social and emotional learning topics. Our registration is highly encouraged, and I would just encourage any of our families out there, any of our parents that are interested in the topic, please sign up as soon as possible. I'd be remiss if I did not just take a moment and acknowledge and thank our social workers, who you can imagine have a heavy lift this year in particular. And they have planned this entire event. So I'm really grateful to that team, as well as our Student Services Department, for facilitating and leading that work. Next item I wanted to touch on briefly. So we received our preliminary draft findings as a result of the school security audit that the board asked that the administration follow through on. So Ms. Ritt and I are actually in the process of reviewing those findings. This has been a year of really resetting and data collection. The task force has been invaluable in helping us collect feedback from our families, our parents, our staff, regarding social emotional learning, regarding program enhancements. We're going to be moving into the new economy conversation, but also, this audit has been very helpful for us as well. There are some things that we're doing really, really well, and there are some opportunities for us as a school district. And so, as we transition out of this school year and begin looking into next year and talking about our long-range vision for the Huron Valley Schools and thinking, from a strategic planning perspective, this is just another one of those data points that we will use to help us inform decisions as we move forward into the future. And so I'm really pleased to report that the findings will be helpful as we move forward. And I will share with the Board of Education, we just received the preliminary report, so you will receive the report. Kim and I are really doing sort of a high-level executive summary, so you can look at each of the items rather quickly, rather than reading the document. You can, of course, read the document. It's enthralling reading. But we're going to give you sort of a high-level executive summary as well. In addition to the security audit, this board is very familiar with the fact that Huron Valley Schools has engaged in a lot of training around run, hide, fight. And this has been incredibly helpful for our staff. We started run, hide, fight training years ago. I'm proud that as a school district, I feel, light years ahead of so many others in this space. I know after the tragedy transpired in Oxford, there were a number of districts that sort of were reacting to the tragedy and putting their trainings in place. And I felt really good that as a superintendent, I knew in our district that we had already participated in the trainings and just really needed to do a refresher. So we've done that, and I wanted to ask Ms. Rutt this evening. She serves as our Executive Director of School Safety, Communications, and Strategic Initiatives, and she's been leading and facilitating a lot of this training in partnership with our local law enforcement. They've been there with us side by side as we participated in this. I just wanted her to speak to some of those trainings and where we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Slaw. As you know, training is but one piece of what we've done from a safety and security perspective in this school district. You're right in the fact that we've done training over a period of years, which has included some online work, some videos. We've done group trainings as well as building by building training. We have most recently done trainings in each building, with the exception so far of Milford High School and the Apollo Center. Those are scheduled for early May. As you can imagine, when we're working building by building, it's a tremendous need for manpower on that. We've worked very closely with our 3 law enforcement agencies in this work. That includes the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, Milford PD, and White Lake PD. They have been our partners in developing the training and implementing the training. So we've been really lucky to have the level of support that we've had from law enforcement on these trainings. So we've trained to date over 900 staff. We have had literally hours dedicated to these trainings. If you'll recall, back in December, we did one sort of day-long session breaking it up with high school, middle schools, and elementary schools. And then we circled back and did scenarios-based training in each of our buildings. And what's key about 2 things that are very key about those trainings. One is, again, that we've had the support of 3 of our 3 law enforcement agencies in doing those. And then also that we've been able to do each one in each building. A number of school districts bring everybody together in one central location and do this, but we feel very strongly that it's much more meaningful if it happens in each staff member's home building, because then they get the most out of sort of seeing how logistically and physically these things work in the buildings. We're always open to improving these trainings where we can. And in fact, we've gotten some feedback about one of the trainings one of the scenarios that we've been using. And we made some changes based on that feedback. So with that, we believe that going forward, again, this is rigorous training. Our goal is always to sort of create muscle memory with the scenarios-based training, so that in the horrible instance that this could happen here or does happen here, that our staff feel as prepared as possible to deal with with these kinds of situations. It didn't take the tragedy in Oxford for Huron Valley to commit resources, time, and be dedicated to school safety. But now we've doubled down on it, and we've doubled down on it in a way that I'm very proud of. So again, we've gotten some feedback about specifically one of our scenarios, and we're changing that up to be more reflective of a scenario that could, apply across multiple buildings. So with that, if the board has any questions, I'd be certainly open to those questions. Other than that, that's my update.
Any questions or comments? I want to thank Superintendent Slaw and Ms. Root, and certainly the local law enforcement for working with us and collaborating. And I think when we started on this path, and I mentioned this a few months ago, was back in 2012. And unfortunately, it was on the heels of Sandy Hook Elementary. And a lot of the key codes that you see in all the buildings was a result of that incident. And we've been, as you mentioned, working on the run, hide, fight since that time period. So appreciate all the hard work that's being worked on, and please pass it on to the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, certainly Milford, Village of Milford Police Department, and also White Lake for collaborating with us and working with us on there too. And I hear you loud and clear in regards to, you're going to get feedback. It's important for us to understand that feedback, appreciate the feedback that we get from the community when that comes in, see how we can improve. And that's all part of continuous feedback loop. And that's what education is about. Not just public education. That's what lifelong education is about as well. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership in this, and appreciate the update and the status report. Any other comments by any board members? Okay, thank you.
That's all I had this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, any correspondence?
Yes, I do tonight. I received an email from our Huron Valley Optimist Club regarding our program in the district that they fund called Blessings in a Backpack. Blessings in a Backpack allows food packs to be sent home with over 500 Huron Valley children who have qualified for free and reduced lunch. And it's handled very confidentially by volunteers. The children are given this food every Friday, and it lasts all through the school year. And this program that's being supported by or organized through our Optimist Club costs about $130 per child per school year. And as I said, we're funding slightly over 500. Well, to make this program a success, I'm here to share with you and invite you all to attend their Magical Night of Comedy. This is their yearly fundraiser. They're going to have a comedy night, and it's going to be on Saturday, April 23rd. It runs from 6 to 11 at our Bakers of Milford. And the cost for one ticket is $75, or you can certainly get a whole table of 8 for $500. But all of these monies go to supporting our Blessings in a Backpack program. And they've got an email here. For more information, you could contact them at blessingshv for Huron Valley @gmail.com, or forward something to your board secretary at lindsay.cotter, and I'll be sure to get you the information. But understand that this is a yearly event. It goes to the heart of our Huron Valley kids, and if you can't attend, you might consider sending them $130, and you can sponsor one Huron Valley child. So that was my communication tonight that I wanted to share with our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Madam Treasurer?
I have nothing this evening.
All right, Vice President Forrest?
Not tonight, thanks.
Mr. Weissman?
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Dodd?
I just want to say thanks to the PE teachers and everybody who supported the American Heart Association. I have a very close family relationship with the American Heart Association, with a nephew with a congenital heart defect that we have been that he has been living with for 21 years. And because of the good research and good work the American Heart Association funds, kids like my nephew have been able to have a good, long life where they can do things like go to college, and which is something that we didn't know if he was going to be able to do when he was born. So I appreciate everybody in Huron Valley for getting together. It's a fun day. I volunteer every year at the table. The kids have a great time. It is just absolute madness, but a ton of fun. And it's a great way for the kids to also see how important being active and healthy and using their bodies to expend all that energy that they have is really good for them. So not only is it a fun program, but also supporting a cause that really is near and dear to me and my heart, I guess, if you want to be corny. But thanks so much to everybody, including those PE teachers who really work hard on this for putting it together and making it a great thing for our community and for people who need it.
Thank you. Appreciate that, and thank you for making the connection as well. I'm surprised that you're at the table, though. I don't want to put you at the double Dutch ropes, but Ms. Grisomkowski?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. All right, student leadership comment? Association comments.
Good evening. It certainly is the night to honor our educators. This is a wonderful evening. Each year, the school districts within our local MEA Coordinating Council celebrate our educators and community members who have made a difference in our districts. Each district gets to nominate an outstanding person in education and a friend of education. Tonight, I am excited to recognize our two nominees for this year. This year, we are honored to nominate Brenda Granroth as our 2022 Friend of Education. Brenda has been a musical accompanist across our Huron Valley District for over 20 years. This is a position that often does not get the recognition it deserves, and Brenda is exceptionally deserving of this honor. Brenda has a tremendous impact on the musical lives of the students across our district. Over the years, Brenda collaborated with Milford High School, Lakeland High School, Muir Middle School, White Lake Middle School, and Oak Valley Middle School as an accompanist and music assistant. She has been a key member of the Huron Valley music family, supporting students during musical concerts, solo and ensemble competitions, musical theater, college auditions, and so much more. Megan Gallagher, the vocal director at Muir Musical, states, quote, "Brenda goes above and beyond to make sure that the students are prepared for all of our performances. She genuinely cares about our students and makes every effort to allow them as many rehearsals as needed before a performance." In addition to Brenda's involvement as an accompanist, Brenda has 8 children of her own who went through Huron Valley schools, and most of them were actively involved in Milford High School's band program. Thus, Brenda has been deeply involved in Huron Valley's musical departments, both personally and professionally. Even after her decades of accompanying students, Brenda continues to increase her knowledge and help students with characterization, musicality, and vocal performances. Brittany Miller, Milford High School vocal director, remarks that Brenda said to her, and I quote, "Every time I listen to a workshop, I learn another interesting fact that I can use when I work with our students." And Megan Weeks, Milford High School theater director, shares, "Brenda is a kind, patient, passionate, and dedicated musical accompanist. She's the key reason our musical excellence programs grows each and every year. We would be lost without her, and we are so pleased to see her honored with this award." Also tonight, we're proud to nominate Michael Head as our 2022 Outstanding Person in Education. Mike has been a teacher in Huron Valley for 26 years, all of which who have been at Lakeland High School in the English department. The common thread when you talk to the staff at Lakeland High School, they share that Mike is immensely dedicated to all who walk the halls of Lakeland High School, and he develops deep connections that he makes with all of our students. Mike's passion for photography transcends taking pictures for just the yearbook. Mike has made a point to attend all of Lakeland athletic events and activities. He highlights these activities and events through his photographs, not only for the yearbook, but Mike prints and hangs these photos throughout the walls of our high school, thus creating a culture of connections and strengthening the relationships between students. For Mike, it's always about relationships and connections. For many years, Mike coordinated Lakeland High School's communication camp, breaking down barriers and strengthening bonds between students to students and students to staff. Rich Trice, fellow ELA teacher, says, I quote, "As an English teacher, Mike finds new and inventive ways to guide students into connecting their lives through literature." Over and over, Mike's colleagues state that he excels at making connections with students. Kathleen Miska, an ELA colleague, shares, "One thing that she's always heard from students about Mr. Head is how much he cares about them as unique individuals. Because of this personal approach, Mike fosters in them a love of writing and good stories because he's eager to hear what they have to say without exception. Mike teaches with the energy, and that's very contagious. Fellow colleague Mike Latham, who has the classroom next door, so he would really know, he remarks, Mike's approach to teaching is pretty simple, really. He always tells me it's about the people work, not the paperwork. And he has a motto of this every day. He reaches out to kids that truly need someone to chat with and forms a connection. He pours his energy and soul into these kids day in and day out. Dr. Bridget Knudsen, Mikeland High School principal, concurs with all that has been said of Mike. She says, quote, "Teaching is not a job for Mike. It's a calling." Huron Valley Schools has benefited greatly from having Mike Head as an educator for the past 26 years. He's always a team player. He gives 100% of himself, and this selflessness is evident every day in how much he offers the students at Lakeland, his colleagues, and the Huron Valley community as a whole. So tonight, I'd like to have Brenda and Mike stand so they can be recognized in our Huron Valley community. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I know typically we don't necessarily comment after association comments, but with the recognition of teachers, that's everything that we're about in this school district. So I want to open it up to any of the board members. Ms. Dodd.
So I got emails from Miss Miller and Miss Weeks, and they're just disappointed that they can't be here this evening because without them, without Mrs. Granroth, they would be lost. And they really wanted to make sure that she knew that if they weren't working with students tonight, they would be here with you, supporting you, cheering you on, because you are just the backbone of any good music program is the accompanist, and somebody who's talented enough to do that with students who are learning is hard to find. So they appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I imagine just about everybody who's had the opportunity to work with you really does. So thanks.
And I would just want to make a comment about Mr. Head. I mean, I've been doing this position for 14 years. Mr. Head, you're a person, when I read this, inspiring and building futures one student at a time, you're one of the faces of the teachers that I think about in this school district. You've been a great teacher for my daughter. My daughter's a little bit unique in the aspect that she doesn't really care for multiple choice. She loves essays that have to do with writing in college. And I give a lot of credit to Mr. Head for her ability to do that. So I wanted to point that. And I know my son has had you in a few classes as well. So as a parent, thank you very much for being there for our kids. And those words really resonated with me, Ms. Holland, as you were reading them. So I just wanted to point that out. Any other comments? Ms. Forrest?
I would just like to kind of corroborate what you're saying, Mr. Carlson, about Mr. Head. He's a funny guy. He's engaging. And I know his students and his colleagues love him as I did when I was amongst the teaching rake. So good choice. And also, Mrs. Granroth, you've been so loyal to Huron Valley Schools. I can't thank you enough for what you do. As somebody said, sometimes what you do kind of goes unnoticed. But if you would not be playing, it would totally be noticed. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Grissom-Kowski.
As a piano player myself, I give you an incredible amount of kudos. Practicing something over and over and stopping and starting. I'm sure that every one of your students is grateful beyond words. So kudos to you. And Mr. Head, I have been the beneficiary of your photography as you have photographed my boys run here at Lakeland. And I don't think if you've ever had a child in athletics, you're focused in on the moment and you're able to capture those moments for us. And they are for life. And so I appreciate what you do. My children have actually never had you as a teacher, but you have been able to have an impact in their lives, whether it was an announcing or whether it was your photography. So I thank you for that. And I congratulate both of you. Just an incredible accomplishment. So thank you.
Mr. Weissman.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for everything you both do for all of our students. I have a piano in our house, and I have no clue how to use it. And my daughter took piano lessons, and I tell her every day that that's your piano, and you can take it to your home. But she says no, and now our grandchildren are taking in that skill that I absolutely have no ability of, and you are noticed. And when I'm at those performances, I certainly notice and appreciate your expertise and your professionalism and the impact that you have. And very frankly, Lakeland High School wouldn't be Lakeland High School without Mr. Head. And I've known Mr. Head for many, many years. And like I said, he's a special person, and that's what makes Lakeland High School such a special place. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you. Thank you for those comments tonight, Ms. Holland. All right, we will public comment. I do have 2 citizen participation forms, both labeled non-agenda items, so that will come at our second public comment area. Reports from board committees, section 8 of the agenda, executive committee, and that is me. The executive committee met on April 4th, last Monday. The meeting was called at 9:30. Present were Denise Forrest, Mr. Weissman, myself, Mr. Tavernier, and Dr. Salah. We had a fairly light agenda, but in regards to, we talked about the Neola policy update. Our bylaws in the 1000 series is what we're going to be taking a look at the next executive meeting. And then hopefully we'll get a first reading in front of this board at our first May meeting in regards to those policy updates. We also had some conversation about the board dialogue that took place as well, and some of the feedback there. And then we also had a task force follow-up. And you heard me reference this evening about the task force. So very pleased with all the work that our parents have been doing, as well as our administrators and staff in regards to social emotional learning, as well as program enhancements, learning delay, and then we're getting ready to approach the preparing our students for the new economy, which is coming up. So just as a reminder, that's 6:30 this week. And we will have some panelists from across the county talking about workforce development and the new economy, advanced manufacturing. And we also have some Huron Valley Chamber of Commerce business owners that will be present as well. So anxious to roll up our sleeves on that. And then we also talked about in preparation for our strategic 5-year plan. And a lot of the work that's being done by this task force is shaping the thinking around that strategic plan coming up as well. So we concluded the meeting, and the next meeting is scheduled for April 25th. And the next is TLT. Ms. Dodd.
All right. We had our meeting on April 8th at 8:30 at the administration building. We started the meeting at 8:37. Present were myself, Ms. Cotter, Ms. Pastana, John Tavernier, Jennifer Bjorkman, Marty Lindberg, Lena Nemeth, and Terry Thompson. We did not have public comment. We also discussed the Neola board policies, series 5000. And we went through our first reading, piece by piece. I think, John, you said, is that about half? About a third. So we still have some work to do, but we're busy reading, and the committee is all reading through it, so we can do a second reading at the next meeting. Next was a discussion about the Pbis program, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Services. Mrs. Bjorkman shared the background, purpose, and future direction of our positive behavior interventions and support in Huron Valley. Pbis is a framework to identify needs, develop strategies, and evaluate practice toward building a positive school culture. Title I and Section 31A funding are used to support our current structures. The district will continue to provide professional learning for Tier 1 supports and evaluate the program needs annually. We also went into we do have 2 items on the consent agenda this evening. One is social studies resources, and the next is band uniform purchases, both of which we are supportive of and will be in the consent agenda tonight. We adjourned at 10:14 a.m. Our next meeting is April 22nd at 10 a.m. at the Administration Building.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. We'll now move to Finance and Operations Committee. Treasurer Pastana.
Finance and Operations met Wednesday, April 6th. We started at 10:06. Present were myself, Mr. Wiseman, Ms. Cotter, Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gotham, Ms. Kerrigan, Ms. Maruskin, Mr. Rogers from Clark, and Mr. Wenrip from TMP. There was no public comment. We didn't have anything on the consent agenda, no unfinished business, no new business. Under other, we had a bond construction update from Mr. Rogers. He updated us on bid pack 4 communicator report. Final touches were made at each of the elementary schools, including the bollards and the benches that were installed last week. All remaining punch list items are being cleaned up as well as we patiently wait on lockers. Dedication plaques will be in the next week and thereafter placed in their desired locations. Dr. Salah and Ms. Root will work with the board on the plaque dedications. We have great momentum and productivity with the start of bid pack 5. The beginning stages of the front entrances and additions are well underway, helping us to stay ahead of schedule. Clark Construction, as well as HVS senior management, continues to work and meet with each of the school's principals on a weekly basis. Jeffrey and Dr. Salah attended the Oakland County Road Planning Meeting. Oxbow Lake Road roundabout construction is anticipated to be completed by the end of August, and hopefully that'll aid us in improved traffic flow. The district's account with Bank of America has been closed, and the contents inside of the safety deposit box were received and reviewed, and there was no gold in there. Sorry. M&O work orders update. Mr. Van Gotham shared the summary of monthly work orders that M&O has been working on. This communication ties into the post-construction work list. Dr. Salah gave kudos to Jeffrey and M&O for stepping up and systematizing all of it while continuing to communicate weekly to all involved. Future discussion items. Preliminary audit work is going to be done throughout next week, and design meetings for bid pack 8 are taking place, envisioning spaces in these meetings with the academic arts and athletic department input. Our meeting was adjourned at 10:55, 49 minutes. I'd like to point that out.
Was Tom there?
Tom was there too, yep. And the next meeting is April 29th at 11.
All right, thank you for that report.
We have public comments?
Yeah. Communications, marketing, and legislative. Ms. Forrest.
Yes, our committee met on April 8th at the board office. Meeting called to order at 10:21. We were a little tardy in getting started, but we are very congenial, so we waited our turn. Anyhow, Dr. Salah gave us a legislative update and shared information regarding the House and Senate budget proposals, and it is anticipated that we will see an increase in the foundation allowance for our schools across Michigan, and it'll be part of the final budget. Dr. Salah also updated the committee regarding the transportation categorical, and it's involving a larger group of lawmakers than in years past, so hopefully, if we can put in a good word for the amount of money we spend as a very large urban/rural district, what is it, 105 square miles, and we use a lot of buses and a lot of gasoline, and so we're looking to have that become a categorical for us, and we can put more money into teaching and learning with that. Communications update from Ms. Root, and she discussed the need to continue to tell the district's positive story as it relates to the ESSER funding we have received and will be receiving. Committee members discussed the use of video and infographics in order to illustrate the various components of these expenditures. Ms. Root also mentioned the use of an upcoming issue of Education Matters, which is the district's printed newsletter that goes to all households. Safety and security update. Appreciate Ms. Root giving an overview of what's been going on this year and over the last several years as it relates to security, keeping our students and staff safe. She's reported that run, hide, and fight training has been completed in all buildings, with the exception of Milford and Apollo, and they're going for the training is in early May. The training has been supported, as Ms. Root said, by Oakland County Sheriff's Department, Milford Police Department, and the White Lake Police Department. Ms. Root also noted that the district has completed updating all emergency operating procedures and meetings, and they're now being scheduled with each building administrator and their crisis response team as a refresher course. As Ms. Root mentioned, the muscle memory, we have to continually revisit this and keep this going. And for a district as large as ours, I do want to give kudos to our local law enforcement agencies who work very closely with the school district to help keep us all safe. So that, is really appreciated. We adjourned at 11:19 a.m. and our next meeting is May 6th at 8:30 a.m. at the administrative office. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, Arts, Athletics, and Activities, the Ad Hoc Committee.
Oh, that's me. We have not met. We are meeting on April 20th at the board office at 4:00 p.m.
All right, thank you. And just as a historical perspective, I did want to share, sometimes we take maybe take advantage of this as board members in regards to looking at this board meeting. And the days are numbered here that Ms. Cotter and I will be on this board here. We'll be wrapping up at the end of the year. But I do want to point out that this regular board meeting used to not have this section from reports from board committees. This used to not be a report out prior to us getting on the board. And in the spirit of transparency, it is something that we've worked on. And in 2012, we changed that and added this component to make sure that the community understood along the way. And, sometimes they talk about policy making is like making sausage. But we think it's important for the community to understand and have a report out on the committee meetings to understand what is taking place along the way. I know at one point in time, a lot of community members had shared with myself and with Ms. Cotter at the time that it just seems like things appear on the agenda and that they're voted on. So this is helpful to understand how all these streams come together and how they come before the board. So I think that's important to point out as we continue to work for transparency on this community. And there's always ways for us to improve, but this is an example of the standing committees. Ms. Cotter.
Yes, that's true. When, in fact, during your first presidency, when this was changed, the format of the bringing up the committee, committee notes. The other thing that I think you did and added to the agenda, again, going along with transparency, you provided 2 opportunities for our community to speak during the meeting. We always had, in the beginning, the open mic for the comments, but you also allow it toward the end of the meeting at a second time. So I think that, I know that's been appreciated by the board and by a number of community members, allowing them that opportunity. So those are 2 big improvements.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll move to consent agenda. Can I get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, exhibits A1 through A5 as presented.
Is
I'll
there
support.
a support? Motion made by Mr. Weissman, supported by Ms. Dodd. We'll take a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman
Yes.
and Mrs. Dodd.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mrs. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Forrest,
Yes.
Mrs. Pastana,
Yes.
and Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sufficient voting in for approval. Motion passes. Consent agenda is approved. There is no unfinished business before this board tonight. No new business as well. So we will move to public comments, non-agenda items. Ms. Levin. You're going to, okay. Mr. Dimick. You filled out a citizen participation form? Yeah. So welcome to the podium. You've got 3 minutes.
He's more comfortable coming up here. So.
He's good.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Is the mic on? I just want to make sure.
My name is Jacob Dimick.
Okay.
I'm a resident of Commerce Township with a son who's tentatively will be enrolling in the fall of 2023. First, I'd like to applaud the district for taking a proactive approach with student safety. As I understand, and we discussed earlier, the run, hide, fight training was recently held. And also, unfortunately, though, the bad guys in at least one of those scenarios were depicted to be anti-mask parents. The implication being parents who are against masking their children are on the fringes of society, ready to become unhinged at any moment. And I felt like that kind of just helps solidify the beliefs that many families have that's resulted in them being pulled from our district. Which, since pre-pandemic, Huron Valley Schools have dropped about 8,000 students, 743, which resulted in an operational budget loss of $6.4 million. Obviously, we can't say that that is all as a direct result of masks and bad policies, but they're not coming back yet, so it's fair to say that something happened besides matriculation. The language and choice to alienate parents by whoever made this scenario up was indefensible. It just paints people in a bad light and it alienates community. It's also It's also come to my attention that the district has been offered Stop the Bleed training, which would be a great companion course for Run, Hide, Fight. And for more than 2 years, they've declined to accept this training for our HVS staff. So it might be something we can look into. I guess that was it for that. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, we'll now move to good and welfare. Is there any good and welfare? Mr. Weissman.
Yes, I appreciate Dr. Slav bringing up the achievement of our boys basketball team. I think it's indicative of how well our athletes do in the classroom because they certainly are student athletes. I think the opportunities that we provide for our students in the arts and in athletics really shine through and makes Huron Valley what it is. I will tell you too, though, that many of our teams are all-state academic, and it's quite an achievement to be number one. But I happened to be over at Milford High School. It was rather interesting. I had a conversation, and it was brought to my attention that the girls' basketball team, they were also all-state academic. Our boys, number one. The girls pointed out to me that they were number 7 in the state, but their overall grade point was higher than the boys.
Yes.
So they made sure that I knew that for some reason. But and then I asked a bunch
Well, now the community knows.
Yes, and now the community knows. And I asked the boys, well, why is that? And there were a number of interesting comments that I'll share with the board at another time. But I just wanted to make sure that I met my commitment from the young ladies that approached me to make certain that I made it a point. Not that they're competitive or not, but they wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they were also all-state academic, and their grade point was even higher than the #1 boys team in the state.
Thank you. Any other goodwill for Ms. Dodd?
So there's a few musicals coming up. You may have heard the small guppies going by in the hallway here as they were leaving rehearsal. Little Mermaid, and I believe Peter Pan Jr. and maybe another one. So check your websites, watch these kids learn to express themselves creatively and be part of a team to put something together. They do. You were talking earlier about how much the bands rehearse. It's 2 weeks before the show. They're here every night this week. They're here over the weekend. And it's just a whole group of people who are working together to put this together, both the kids and the old and the adults who support them. And the fact that they even brought little ones in this year to participate, it's really great. So if you have an opportunity, go check out one of the shows. I know there's lots of them going on, and the kids will be so happy to see a full house. It makes them feel good when they have people watching them. So,
Any other public comment? Ms. Grzybkowski.
Just want to congratulate our students at Milford High School who participated in the district solo and ensemble. There were 10 of them that received ones. I know this is normally Miss Dodd's world, but I love vocal music, so this is a little bit of my world too. So really proud of them. They will go, 6 students will go on to Big Rapids this Saturday for state solo ensemble, and we just want to congratulate them and wish them well. This is a very big accomplishment, and it's exciting to see our students succeed. So congratulations.
All right, thank you. Any others? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.